Hi everybody, my name is Candy Soriano and I blog at stampwithcandy.com. And today I'm going to introduce to you something from the new January to April mini catalog. And the stamps bundle I'm showing you, I was almost at stamp set, but it's both, is Brushed Bouquet. So let me switch cameras and let's get started. Okay, so here I have the bundle, and unfortunately my light is kind of making it a little bit shiny. But basically what this is a two-step stamping set. In other words, this piece and this piece go together to make one flower, and these two make a different flower, and then these two make a different flower, and then these two and these two. So you've got 5 different flowers in this set, along with a leaf and a leaf with some stems. Notice that there's no sentiments on this stamp set. However, there are a ton of great sentiments in both the annual catalog and the current or this new mini. The ones in the current catalog, the current annual catalog, are the go-to greetings. And there you can find a lot of sentiments that pair very nicely with this stamp set. The other one, and I happen to have this handy here because I used it in my sample card, is Happy Labels. And again, these are bright, happy, sentiments that could go very nicely with your flowers. Now, I picked this set because I like flowers. Anybody who knows me, I've never met a flower I didn't like. My blog logo has flowers in it. My yard has a bazillion flowers in it. So I always like flowers. But I also picked it because I do like the two-step stamping, because once you get things lined up, it's really easy to use the stamp set or to create depth without having to do coloring, right? So they're great for quicker cards. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a trick about that with the Stamparatus. But first, I want to call your attention to the dies that come with it. Now, we have these outline dies that cut out the images from the stamps, right? So this one cuts out the big rose, and this one cuts out the little star-shaped one. But we have these other ones, and they're supposed to emboss. But when I embossed with them, I was unhappy. And the reason I was unhappy is that normally our embossing gives you really deep impressions, and I could not get deep impressions from these at all. But I found a different way to use them that I'm going to show you in a minute. And once you see it, then you'll go, oh, okay, that's a better use of it anyway. All right, so let me show you first my quick tip, which is when I'm doing a lot of stamping with two-step stamps, and I'm going to show you a bunch of samples, and you'll see I did a lot of stamping. I like to use my Stamparatus, and I have it backwards right now. And what I like to do is set it up to do a lot of stamps all at once, right? So as you can see here, I have 2 of the stamps from the set. These 2 are the solid images. I guess you can't see those. These 2 are the solid images, and then these 2 are the sample images. I mean, the detail images. Man, I'm not talking well today. Maybe I should just take a breath. Anyway, let's keep going. And so what I like to do is, and as I did for many of the cards that I did, I would line up all 5 of the flowers, and then I could do 5 at a time, go, turn the paper and do them again. But in order to do this, you have to it's hard to ink them unless you use a spot. So that's my tip is, first of all, to get these all lined up so that you can just mass produce the flowers. And even if you don't know what you're doing with them yet, you can just have them in like a little container. I keep the little embellishment containers on my desk, and I just put them in there, and I make them in a variety of different colors. But I use spots because that's the only way you can get this close to, for instance, this stamp. Oops, top came off. Without getting ink on this stamp. Now you'd say I could space them out, but I don't really want to waste that much paper, because if I do it right, I can get 10 on here just by, do my first 5, then do my next 5. And so what I do is I just figure, oh, I'm going to use, let's say, some Calypso Coral with Sweet Sorbet and some Mango Melody with Daffodil Delight, which is what these 2 colors are. And I just make 5 of those and then clean my stamps, and then I, do a bunch of others. All right, well, I just dropped the Daffodil Delight, but we'll just let it go. It's just on the floor. It'll get cleaned up. So anyway, that's my tip for you in using the Stamparatus and having 2 plates, because it's a 2-step stamp. Keep all of the solid ones, or the sort of the base stamp, on one plate, and keep all of the details on another plate, and use your spots. Now, of course, we don't sell all the spots, but I find it very economical to buy the uninked spots, which is what this was. There's no label on it yet because I'm going to put the label on it. And then just use your reinkers to do it. That way you can just, ink up things very compactly, so to speak. So anyway, that's the tip I wanted to share today. And now let me get into my card, because I just love this card. So here's the card I'm going to be showing you how to make today. And by the way, I do have a host code here, and if you do make an order in my online store, if you could use that host code, I'd really appreciate it, because that lets me collect hostess rewards, and then I will use those as giveaways. So look at these flowers. Aren't they beautiful? So there's a couple things I want to show you with this card. The first is that this goes up and down, and how do you do that? And then I used the brushed brass butterflies as my embellishment. So let's get started with actually creating that card. So the trick to getting that to look right is to have these are sticking, is to have a piece of paper, and that's not the piece I want. Now I know I had that extra white one on my desk. All right, so anyway, this is what you want to do. You want to put this piece of white paper, and this is an inch by 5 1/4, because this is just a standard base, right? And this is going to get really messy. Now I put a little bit of adhesive on it to keep it in place. But what I did is I rubbed my finger on that adhesive so it won't stick very well. And I am going to then ink up my stamp, which is right here. And what I want to do is, if you look at this stamp, you'll see that if I stamp it like this, I'm going to get this to go in an angle, and I'm going to get these leaves. But if you look at my example, I have other leaves on there. I don't have the stamp leaves, I have the cutout leaves. So what I'm going to do, and I might have to get my head in there, is I am going to tilt this like that. Now you can see I got a little bit above my my strip, but that's not going to show because I have those leaves. And so then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it a total of 6 times. Now in my sample, I actually did it, a couple of them where they were tilted. So you could do that too. Now if you don't want to put that little bit of a piece of glue on there, or adhesive, you can also use some washi tape to tape it down, but then you have to switch it because I can't do both sides. So I have washi tape holding it down along this edge, and then when I wanted to stamp this side, I'd have to switch it around. And then there's always the danger with my eyes that I wouldn't get it lined up right. So once again, I'm just gonna switch, I'm just gonna stamp. Man, there's something on the stamp right there. What is that? Piece of who knows what. All right, you can tell I've been stamping all day. I've got inky fingers everywhere. All right, and then there, and then there. And then when I'm done, I can just pull this off, and you can see I have my stems nicely stamped and ready to go. Now, I took the liberty of, where'd I put it now? Of stamping the sentiment ahead of time so that I didn't have to do it while I was showing you how to do this. So now I'm going to put some dimensionals on there to hold it up. Now, you want to place them a little bit strategically. You really want them in the middle because we're going to tuck a bunch of leaves underneath them, correct? Like if you look at this example, which I think I'll just leave right there so you can see what it's going to look like. You can see that they're tucked under this. And that actually gives some dimension to it. And, you know, this is a real dimensional card because basically we're done stamping now. And it's just a matter of putting the things on. So you want to make sure your dimensionals are in the middle. You could actually use mini dimensionals if you really cared. But I just used regular ones and then I just, you know, moved around it a little bit. So I've got my dimensionals on. I'm going to put those in. And then I'm going to show you how I made those flowers without stamping. And this was just, to me, you know, I was at my wit's end because I couldn't understand what I was going to do with those dies. And it always bugs me to have a stamp set and and something I can't use in it. So which one did I say I was going to do? A yellow one. All right. So here's what I did. Let me move this out of the way so I don't get it dirty. I took the die and I put it in the ink. Now, at first I was just pulling it up with my take your pick tool, you know, like with this end of it. I wonder if the putty end would work. Let me try that. Oh, it looks like my putty is dry. Well, that's a shame. Anyway, what I did is I took some Scotch tape and I made a loop. And then I picked it up and let me get this closer to the camera. Can you see that ink on there? And then if I put it on a piece of scrap like that, and I run it through my big shot. And normally I would just skip that step and say through the magic of TV, but I wanted to show you my newest little big shot. This is the mini, and it's in a brand new color called Boho Blue. And if you join during celebration, you can get this as part of your starter kit, which is pretty exciting. But anyway, I think it's adorable, and I wanted to show everybody because I'm so excited that I have it. So anyway, I'm going to put in my plates. Now, sometimes if you have trouble getting the plates like to start through there, there are two solutions to that. Oops. One is offset them a little or line them up perfectly. So I don't know which one it is, but I found that offsetting them, it runs through really, really easily. And so after I cut this, put that away. After I cut this, you'll see that I have a beautiful yellow flower from the die. No wonder it's sticking. Forgot I had that tape still on it. So check this out. Isn't that gorgeous? And so what a fun way to use your dies. Now I have to remember to clean this really well before I try and use it again, because that the ink will stick. Okay, so once I've done that, I think you can see what I'm gonna do next is I've got all these flowers and I'm just gonna put them on here. I'm probably not gonna spend the time doing it now because we don't have a lot of time together. And I do want to show you some other samples that I made with this really fabulous set. So I need one. So anyway, what I would do is I have these these on dimensionals already. And then all I did for making my card is I took a little bit of liquid glue and put it on the back and then just tuck them in like this. And then because this is popped up, I might tuck them under, but I didn't want to put them on until I had these arranged because, you know, you want to make sure that this looks good with the flowers. And if you don't feel like it's enough greenery, then you can always put in, you know, more. I used 4, but you could put 5 in because, you know, it depends on how you stamp these. There might be more space between a couple of them. And then, of course, I don't like my insides to be ugly. So I cut an extra one and glued it to the inside with a brush brass butterflies. I have gone through so many of those because we have so many flowered sets, and they just make a nice accent. And as you can see in this, I also put them on the card front. And then I also don't like naked envelopes, so I took another one of the flowers that I'd cut from the dies and glued it on the envelope. And so that's it for my card. Now there will be a tutorial to how to make this card, but it'll be a tutorial for every card that's part of this catalog launch. And there will be a slight fee to purchase it. And the reason is that we're donating that money to Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's Foundation, which is a worldwide foundation that looks into and helps research cures for Parkinson's disease. And every time we do one of these massive catalog launches, we do a charity giveaway. So let me show you a couple other little things I made with these. So here is a cute little box that I made using the flowers. Let me get that into you so you can see them. Again, with the butterflies. These I stamped and cut out. And then I did 4 cards as a sort of one-sheet wonder. And these you can find on my blog, which is stampwithcandy.com. And in a one-sheet wonder, you have one piece of paper, you do some stamping on it, and then you cut it up to use in cards. And this one has what's called a circular technique, which means that you start at the center and you stamp around the center, and then that leaves you white space for your sentiments. And anyway, you can do a really quick card. I did these 4 cards in almost no time with this technique. And then with this one, it has a bigger border because I wanted people to see, you know, which do you like better, the thin border or the thick border? Because, you know, everybody's got their opinion, which is better. And then I have this cute little card that I made. And this is really simple because this is just some Country Garden DSP, and then these are some flowers. And by the way, all of these cards that I'm showing you, or many of them, are going to be in a class by mail. And all you'll have to do is pay for the class. Of course, you'll have to have the bundle, the stamp set and the dies, but I will send you all of the other supplies that you need, and I will prep most of them. I will cut them for you. And you get to keep the leftover. There'll be DSP, and any DSP that isn't used as part of the card, of course, is yours to keep. And then here's one last card, which is called a joyful card. And basically, it's a card, oops, I had some adhesive on there that kind of wrecked it. But anyway, it opens up and you have plenty of room to write a sentiment, but it's just a fun fold, and I kind of like fun folds. So I hope that you enjoyed my card today, and that you enjoy the whole day, I guess it's 2 days now, of Crafty Collaborations catalog launch, where we are demoing most of the stamp sets in the new mini catalog. It starts on January 5th, and I'm sure you're going to love it as much as I do. I just have I just bought, I feel like I got almost everything in it because I just love everything. And there's a lot of variety. And that you like my trick. Now, I haven't tried this trick with any other embossing dies, but you can bet I'm going to as soon as I have a couple minutes free. So again, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. Happy stamping.